Alright, great folks, this is the BlackWeasel, and this is my video game review of Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PlayStation 4. I got this game as part of the Ultimate Edition because the extra stuff that came with it was somewhat well worth the price. I like having the steelbook and the extra poster map that came with it. And since this game was so large, I thought this would be a game that I could just rent it from Redbox. But this game required 2 discs in order to be installed towards my PlayStation 4. So like, I bought this game full price for it. It's really red. Truly a magnificent game. Alright. Yep. Now, Red Dead Redemption 2 is not a sequel, but it is actually a prequel to the events of the first Red Dead Redemption game. Instead of John Marston taking the helm, I deal with a new man on the front lines by the name of Arthur Morgan. Before I got started on Red Dead 2, I played the first game to become familiar with the events that went on in the Wild Wild West. And I played the prequel, and here I am making this review video. The outlaws that return in this game are John Marston, Javier Escuela, Bill Williamson, and last but not least, the man in charge of it all, Dutch Van der Linde. What's new are many outlaws and folks that are also part of the Van der Linde gang. The world of Red Dead Redemption 2 is much more massive, immersive, and alive than ever. It truly is. In the beginning, it all begins in the icy, snowy mountains where the Van der Linde gang are literally escaping the heat into the cold, and the actual federal authorities themselves, after they went through a ferry ship robbery in Blackwater that has gone wrong. The new man is on into the scene, as senior gun Arthur Morgan is the main character of this game. The world of the Wild Wild West is coming to an end as capitalism and civilization are both working together to cultivate, control, and essentially civilize every single land that's filled with untapped resources, animals, and people. If certain people can't be controlled, cultivated, and civilized, then the next best thing is to make them illegal to be operated on or kill them off. This happens in the real world all the time. I'm dealing with an outlaw gang, and this outlaw gang is smart enough to know that their days of living on the outskirts of uncivilized land are coming to an end. They can't keep murdering and robbing until they become really old or they meet a quick death at the hands of federal agents and or bounty hunters. That's what has been on Dutch's mind all the time, and eventually Arthur Morgan and John Marston, especially John Marston because he has a child with this woman named Abigail. And so the name of the game is to obtain a massive amount of treasure in which they can retire and just do a peaceful life away from gunfights. Otherwise, jail or death awaits Dutch and his gang. The journey to obtain generational wealth has become harder than it looks. I can definitely relate to this game because I too want to obtain generational wealth so I can retire peacefully. But in the real world, the wages have not kept up with inflation, and the cost of basic goods such as food, shelter, and utilities are increasing with no end in sight. Anyways, back to the game. The first step for Dutch's plan to retire involves attacking a rival gang by the name of the O'Driscoll Boys. The world of the Wild Wild West is coming to an end by the next century, but it seems as though the Van der Linde gang are not the only ones who feel the effects of the increasing growth of civilization and capitalism. Oh yeah, it takes place in 1899, the last year of, well, technically the last year of the 19th century, and before the 20th century arrives. You know, it's crazy. I'm doing this game review in 2019, like January 7th, 2019. And so it's been 19 years so far since the 20th century came to an end. So I've been 6 years. I was 6 years old when the 20th century came to an end, but It's surreal. Like, I'm growing up in the 21st century. Anyways, back towards the gaming review. The O'Driscoll boys are a gang of guys who loot, shoot, and prey on anybody and everybody that has something worthwhile. Dutch has ideas for a better life, while the guy in charge, Colm O'Driscoll, is the force to be reckoned with. What returns in Red Dead Redemption 2 from the first game are gunfights, getting to places by the way of horseback, traveling through towns, and optional quests for helping or hurting random people in the towns, grassy fields, farmland, and other places as well. But Rockstar, after more than 7 years of development, took a huge step forward in everything. Literally everything. As a result, Red Dead Redemption 2 has elements of role-playing in itself. When it comes to gunfights, there are customization options for each kind, and if I use a little too often, then if I use a gun a little too often, then I end up having to clean it. Otherwise, it'll become unusable and will fire shots, resulting in less damage to its target. When it comes to getting places on horseback, I'm able to name my own horse and capture rare exotic horses and shitty ones. The rare exotic horses can travel at a fast rate, while the shitty horses are slower, have less stamina, and have less health compared towards the better ones. And finally, when it comes towards optional quests, everything has evolved. When I help random strangers with their problems and misfortunes, then in return, they will give me some money or free stuff at the gun shop. This was really useful when I was low on money in the beginning of the game. But this is where the downsides of Red Dead 2 kick in. This game is too real for its own good. When I do a certain task, which I thought would raise my honor, some shit will happen that will actually backfire on me. When I was traveling through the woods, this Mexican man says in Spanish, help me, I step on my bear trap. I come to him, I get him, and I got him on the bear trap. He then says he wants something to heal his bloody damaged leg, and so I have two options. Give him medicine or give him alcohol. I thought alcohol was bad, and so I gave him medicine. This Mexican man says in Spanish, medicine? I am past medicine. And so the option quest comes to an end, and my honor decreases because of it. Another similar incident happened near Saint Denis. I was traveling on horseback when a guy was hurt and asked me to take him to the hospital. It was an easy task, and so I took him to the hospital, and I dropped his ass on the sidewalk close to the hospital. Apparently one sheriff took it the wrong way, and I get slapped with assault. The cops start to get close to me, and so I started hauling ass out of Saint Denis. Out of that little easy task, my honor has been decreased, and my bounty was raised, and so there's even more bounty hunters looking for me. I like the music in this game. It is great during certain moments. Red Dead Redemption 2 is a great journey. It is more twice as long as the first Red Dead Redemption, and is longer than Grand Theft Auto and San Andreas. Despite its flaws, I'll give it a 10 out of 10. It is one of the best games of my life so far, and a badass adventure as well. Alongside Persona 5, Final Fantasy 7, Grand Theft Auto, Grand Theft 4, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and Persona 4, it is one of the greatest games I ever played. I played from October 29th, 2018, and I finished it on November 7th, 2018. It took me 47 hours to finish this game.